Hello, world. Welcome to Rex Alternative and a humanistic approach in an LGBTQ plus planet where we are all members or members of the 10 letter sexual alphabet LGBTQIAAP, and each of us belongs in either one or two letters in the 10 letter sexual alphabet. And we've already discussed this at length. Now, today we're going to discuss about heteronormativity and homonormativity in relation to, of course, our planet. And this is going to be philosophical. We are a bit philosophical today, as you already saw our very big video about telecommunications, which we're going to do a proper scientific video about that because telecommunications is very important in what is happening in the world. The world is really um, changed because of the telecommunication system. Of course, you have to understand telecommunication is a very interesting subject. I don't want to talk about it now, but religion is also about telecommunication and communication because religion, most religions believe God talks to people. So it's all about communication. And mental disorders are about people who think they are communicating to God who can't be seen. Because for sane people, you should only talk to somebody you see or can be communicated to by somebody else. But if you cannot communicate to a person whom someone says they're communicating to, then 90% the person is mentally unwell. That is the position of secular science when it comes to religion. And so that's what you need to know about religion and life. It's about communication, and communication is sex, is union. You are having sex with people, and sex is union. You're uniting with people. When you talk to somebody, you are uniting with them. Why do religious people say you have to have a relationship with God? Meaning you have to be communicating with God. You have to have a union with God. You have to be having intercourse with God. So that's what religion is all about. And especially what evangelicals say when you have to give your life to Jesus. And you have to have a relationship with the Lord, meaning you have to have uh, communication together. You have to be having sex together. So this is why communication is very important in the world, and we're going to do a very good video about that. And even this heteronormativity is about sex. We said last time data is everything, and today we've learned communication is everything. And today we are also learning right now sex is everything. And we are also learning that everything is everything. Everything is connected together. Yes, everything is connected. Even in religion, I tell people who argue that God is fighting Satan, ask them, did Satan create the world? Did he create you? Is Satan a creation of God? If he's a creation of God, he's united to God. They are one. Yes. They just don't agree with each other, but they are one. Because Satan is the creation of God, meaning God could even put him out of business if he wants to. But the fact he has not done that, it cannot even give God the basis to punish human beings. That's why I say there's no hell. Because why are you punishing a human who did something because Satan did it using them? You see? So that's what we need to understand. Everything is connected, everything is united. That's the singularity. We are in the singularity, and it's getting singular and singular as the time is going by. Yes, that's why very soon the world will not end in division. It's going to end in singularism. You know, if a very big thing comes to destroy the earth, destroying the earth, a boulder, and it manages to destroy the earth, we are destroyed. We are doomed. Remember, in the other video I've just posted, I have an atheist friend who doesn't believe that God exists because energy equals mc squared. What that equation says is that more energy equals more mass. So you can't say that God is all powerful when you can't even quantify his mass. And he has a point. Reason being, if God is very powerful, then he must be very big. He must be very big. But NASA and ESA and all the space agencies have gone outside of the earth and they have not found any big god. They haven't found. So, and they have finished the universe. Do you know all of these space agencies have finished the universe? They have mapped it completely and they haven't found any big god out there. So, haven't found any big god out there. So, but the thing they do, the weird thing they say is, so that was my friend, the atheist friend's assertion that since God is, there is no big God out there, then he has no power. Because the bigger a thing is, the more energy it has. That's what E equals mc squared means. More energy, more mass, more potential to do work. Because energy is to do work. Now, that's why I'm saying nothing can destroy the world. Not even a small stone cannot destroy the earth because it's small. It has little energy to destroy it. But the weird thing, the smallest amount, the smallest unit of life, the atom, when it is split, it causes the biggest explosion in the world. So that's now the weird thing about, that's where now someone can answer my friend and say, but the smallest unit in the world, which is the atom, creates the largest destruction on earth, and that's the atomic bomb. Because if you want to destroy a place, you use an atomic bomb, which is when the atom is so small. The smallest unit of matter is an atom. So that's now where you can argue with my friend for days. And for me personally, I'm in faith because I have felt power. So I I naturally say there could be a higher power out there. But I've been questioning it in a different way. I've been telling people that I don't think the language we have today is not sufficient to explain life, and that we only know life according to the limited and weak language we have. This is why Christians have speaking in tongues. Because speaking in tongues, it's an unknown language. And you are speaking mysteries to a higher power called God. And you don't even know what those tongues are saying. Even interpretation, you can't really how can you interpret a language that you don't know? Even if you ask the spirit for the interpretation, how sure are you it's the interpretation? So you see, that's why speaking in tongues is a very special gift, especially in the spiritual realms, because you don't know what you're saying. But it is said when you speak. So when you speak in tongues, it's like you are actually speaking to somebody. I mean, you're of course speaking to a higher power, and then the something happens. It's very weird, very, especially for those who know it. And for me personally, I am not just a faith person, I'm a scientist first. So I'm always asking questions about everything that is happening in the world. And if I get answers for it, I'll be happy. So as long as I haven't got the answers, I'm still asking questions. So, like, even when you speak in tongues, you don't know what you're saying. You can't interpret a language you don't know. So, and that's what we are trying to tell people, that the systems of the world are sometimes, or life, it's very hard to understand life, especially in philosophy, because the language used may be inadequate. You see, it may be inadequate language, and then we are using this inadequate language to explain very complicated things. This is why science is the best, is the highest, um, what do you call it? What do I call it? Highest level of cognition and knowledge. Reason being, has laws. It seeks to know the truth of something. And to know the truth of something is to know its laws, it's to know its structure. You see, the laws of gravity are actually the structure of gravity. The laws of relativity is actually the structure of relativity. The laws of sex, heterosexual or homosexual, is the structure of heterosexual or homosexual sex. Everything has a law. Yes, everything. And a law is a system. A law is a system. So everything has a system, everything is a system. So when you know something, you know its structure. Now, the reason why we don't know life is because we really don't know the structure of life. We know people are born, we know how people get born, but we don't know what is this element that has led to this person having life. We still don't know that. So when we don't know that, we are not able to solve certain problems when that system has a problem, like when we die. The reason why we don't know death is because we don't know life. Yeah. So we have to know the structure of life, and then we will know the structure of death. Already we know the structure of life partly, and one way we know it's the cell. The more living cells you have in your body, the more alive you are. The less living cells you have in your body, the more dead you are. This is why people who have HIV, they have lower T4 cells. These T4 cells are very important to fight diseases that enter the body. So when they are less, you are prone to die. And what is death but to have more dead cells, or loss of life, or loss of oxygen in the body, than more living cells or enough oxygen to keep you alive? So cells are very important. That's why now scientists are doing a very good experiment to find whether to revive human beings, we are going to use stem cell. Yes, you inject a human with stem cells, and these stem cells will multiply so many cells to replace the dead cells in the body, or to eat the dead cells in the body and replace them with living cells, so that the human being can stay alive for many years. So when you reach 120 years and then the body seems like it's switching off, all you go to the hospital, inject more stem cells, and you're regenerated again. Then you reach the year 300, the body is getting tired, inject more stem cells to replace the dead cells in the body. Because here, these are cells, These are cells. These are cells. Cells are in my whole body. But when aging starts, aging means the body, the cells are dying. That's what aging is. That's why people who are very old, the skin becomes very wrinkled. It's because they have dead cells. So the cells cannot tighten. Do you know your clothes when you wash them and you wash them, you overwash them, they stretch. They can't go back to the tightness they used to be like. It's because you are always washing them and they are wearing out. And synthetics do not have regenerative cells. So they cannot live for long. That is why clothes wear out. But humans can never can reach a point where they don't wear out, because as long as they inject in themselves regenerative cells, then they will live forever. So even clothes, if clothes had the capacity to have regenerative cells and your clothes is dying, inject regenerative cells into your shirt that is now elastic because of overwashing, and then it gets back its shape. You see, that's what's supposed to happen. But because synthetics don't have regeneration, the clothes wear out. Same to a car. Do you know an old body car can actually be regenerated if you can actually be revived if you change the whole system? Because a machine, the problem of machines made by humans, they do not have the power of regeneration. This is why scrap metal cannot give itself life. It's because it has no regeneration ability, even though it is a chemical. You see, that is now the game of science: regenerative science and degenerative science. Most artificial things are degenerative, they don't revive themselves. Even the reason why we charge our phones is because the phone battery is not regenerative. But if we had phone batteries that can recharge themselves because they have regenerative capacity or potential, then you will never need to charge your phone. So this is why they're looking for a mineral that can regenerate itself. Like aluminium has been found to be the best material for batteries, phone battery. So in China, there are some guys who have phones that don't need charging for 1 month, no matter the amount of work you do, because it is an aluminium battery. So there are some minerals that are very good at storing electrical energy, others are very poor. So until we find those minerals, we will be forever charging our phones. But the day we get that mineral, that's why I am a full support unique minerals. Remember Black Panther, and they were looking for this special the special mineral. I forget its name. And that mineral, it was a life-giving mineral. So, and then remember Superman, kryptonite. You know, they're always looking for a mineral from the planets. So I believe every planet has unique minerals. Every planet has a unique chemical, what do you call it, periodic table. So elements, and then you see, when every planet has unique chemicals, then it means you can mix them. Now imagine we collect all the chemicals from Mars, bring them back to Earth. The periodic table on Earth will change, and we will create synthetics that are out of this world, that are mixture of Mars chemicals, mixtures from Venus, mixtures from Saturn. Of course, Saturn is not terrestrial, so you won't get any minerals. It's a gaseous planet. Um, Mercury, and like that, the sort. So when we get minerals from these four terrestrial planets and we mix them, we may be able to make batteries that have a mineral from Mars called Alika. And Alika makes but the phone never switch off because it can store electrical energy forever. Like I can think Mercury must have very nice minerals that can hold heat and therefore electrical energy for long. The only problem is minerals from mercury may be too hot to put in a phone because it is so used to getting hot. But it would be an advantage to use mercurial minerals because they are closest to the sun. Mercury is the closest to the sun and it has never been burnt. Mercury is a terrestrial planet, yet it has never been burnt and it's very close to the sun. So, what does this mean? The soil in Mercury, the soil in Mercury is beautiful, is strong soil because it's so close to the sun, it should have burnt by now. And this is what climate change people need to look. Why has Mercury survived all this long? Being close to the sun, the Mercury has not been destroyed. It is because of the quality of the soils in Mercury is very resistant to ultraviolet rays, and it's very it's able to carry the energy from the sun with no fail. Secondly, because there is no vegetation in Mercury, it can't burn. You see, when the earth is burning, the only thing that burns is trees. Have you noticed something funny? When you see California fires happening, they don't burn, it doesn't burn the soil, it only burns trees. Why? Because wood is not a conductor of heat. In fact, it doesn't know how to keep heat and stay alive. So that is why the burning bush story is a weird story. It's a miracle because a bush is supposed to burn and die, but the bush was just burning and it didn't die. So that's the interesting thing about the burning bush story. So, but back to the natural science, that's supernatural science. Natural science, the bushes, trees, they will burn when they catch fire, but not the soil. So what this should tell you, this is why the climate change people are worried about the climate, because when the sun is too much, it is going to destroy things like trees, forests, and when the forests die, rainfall will be less. So earth may become more and more like Mercury, more and more dry, more and more like a desert. And then when earth becomes more like a desert, we die. So what does this tell you? The earth depends on watery conditions to survive. That is why carbon dioxide is not a friend to the earth, because carbon dioxide or carbon emissions, they destroy oxygen, which is a very important element for water. And as I've just told you, trees, why do trees burn and not the earth? It's because trees have water. All trees have water in them. Secondly, so you need to understand these fires in the world and to understand the earth, study the tree. All the elements of the tree, list them. All the elements in the soil, list them. Then all the elements, then when you've studied that, then you study why water does not, you see, the sun is heat. So when you heat water, it disappears. That's why when you boil water and you overboil it, it will end up being, the pot will end up being empty, because the fire or the heat or the sun, when you have a gas cooker or a cooker, that fire is actually the sun. It is a replication of the sun. The sun is fire. So it is fire. Your cooker is the sun, and it's heating, global warming in the kitchen. So when it heats the water and it overheats it too much, the water disappears and becomes gaseous. It becomes gases. So these are, and so now what I'm trying to say is that if the sun becomes so much hot, can it dry up the earth? You know, can it dry up the earth and the oceans disappear? Of course, they are saying because of global warming, the ice caps are melting. So because the ice caps will melt, there will be floods. Then once they remember, ice caps melting is a process. So when they've completely melted, then the next step will be for the sun to dry up the earth and finish. All the water disappears and it evaporates. In fact, for the sun to destroy the earth, it will need to burn hotter than the earth has power to rain. So when the heat is so much, like during drought seasons and summer, the difference between summer and springtime is that in summer the heat is more. It is more than the water in the system, in the air system. So the rate at which clouds are created is slower than the rate at which heat is generated, because the sun is now very close to the area. So what happens? There is no rain, there is too much sun, and there's dehydration. And when you're dehydrated, you can even die because your body, the sun is heating you up. So it's even drying up the water inside you. It's also drying up the, just like the water. And then it's so fast, the heat generation or the heat power is so much, it's faster than your body can create water to hydrate you, to keep you hydrated. So you just find yourself, I'm thirsty, I'm thirsty, I want to drink some water. I'm tired, because the brain has water. Every part of your body has water. That's why even tears, that's water. Yes. So saliva also has water. So when the sun is too much, those water points begin to dry because the sun touches your body. So your brain, the water is being sapped up because it's sensing heat. Your body is sensing heat. There's too much heat. So water is disappearing. That's then when you have a headache, that's a sign that you have no water. Yes. That's why to cure a headache, you drink water so that you replenish the oxygen. You see the pain. Why is the head paining when it's so hot? It's because the water in the head is gone, and your brain depends on water, oxygen, which is part of the red blood cells, which are found everywhere, to keep your body working, because that oxygen is the energy. You see, why do we inhale oxygen? We need it. We need it because our cells depend on oxygen, which is part of hemoglobin, the red blood cell. And we don't need carbon dioxide. That's why we breathe it out. It's a beautiful system. So we are actually oxygenated bodies. We are bodies that really depend on oxygen. But I've told you the enemy of oxygen or water is the sun or too much heat. So that is why global warming is a serious issue. I'm very happy the World Economic Forum is going on very well, and Sir David Attenborough had to talk to Prince William. I had a conversation about climate change, and he really raised that issue. He said, so David Attenborough was saying that the ecosystems of the earth, are being transformed because of climate change. And it's very important because, as I told you, the UN said we have 12 years to go. My friend, 12 years includes even today. So if we are not doing anything today, we are we are delaying salvation of the earth. So in fact, if I was UN, we are supposed to do more work now than later. Not doing the African. Africans have a very nice habit of, they do last minute salvation. They like doing things last minute. You tell people that the deadline is then. Oh, the deadline is okay. Oh, let's sleep. Then when the deadline comes, we start working. So everybody has that thought that I will do the thing at the deadline. That's the African thinking. And it's not a very good thinking, because everybody will think like you. Yes. You see, if everybody is going to wait for the deadline, then do the thing before the deadline. Because if you wait for the deadline, the queues will be long, and who knows, you may not even get what you want because everybody waited for the deadline. So the best thing is to do things before the deadline. And so, even to save the planet, more effort needs to be done right now. That's why you see what's happening in France is sad, that they could not, the taxation, because of the climate science, it couldn't work. They have to really find another way. And so that's what I'm trying to say. The most important year in the 12-year plan set up by UN is 2019. Yes. Because if they don't do any effort right now, they have wasted a year. The most important year is the first year of a plan, not the last one. So the same to anything, even in childhood. Do you know the most important part of a human being's life is not his adulthood, it's what he did when he was a child. That is the most important. That's the most important, because that time the child is so new. Anything can happen. You can shape him to be anything. But an adult, you can't shape an adult to speak Chinese. It's impossible. Because the brain, even physiologically, his brain is already wired to speak English or French. So now when you want him to speak Chinese, he may try, but the systems in the brain which use language are so English or are so French, you are just wasting your time. So the person you're supposed to really change and shape is a child. That's why when people indoctrinate children, they make very strong systems, because they are focused on them when they were fresh, where they can't fight you. I have a friend of mine, an atheist, is on YouTube, and he always says religions rape children mentally because they give them data that they can't refuse. So he calls it mental rape, because you're giving the child something he's not supposed to have. He's supposed to wait. To him, what should naturally happen? Don't give a child religion at all. Let him grow up only to learn natural sciences. Then when he reaches 18 or an adult, at the age of adulthood, then you can expose him to any religions, and he can listen to them and pick whichever religion he wants to go for. That's what my friend, I love him so much. He's a very nice, very funny, though he's not very palatable for the ears. Some people may find him too abusive because he really insults Christians and other religions. But I understand his pain. It's because he grew up when he was a child, he was indoctrinated in Christianity, and that Christianity made him think the way he thinks, and he had to read science to come out of that thought life. So that's why he's very angry. You can sense the anger. It's that he wish he never went through religion when he was young. That's his anger. So anyway, that's what I'm trying to say about the climate change action. It can only be, we will make progress if the earlier we start, and the most effort should be put right now, so that the 12th year, it's relaxation. It is looking back at what we did at the first to the third year, and say, okay, we did this. And you see what's supposed to happen is like, I'm even giving them ideas. Yes, we should give ideas. We are all building the world together. that thing, try that tactic or strategy. Then measure what happens in the atmosphere after 3 years. If it has worked very well, that's the way to go. Then you repeat it in the next 3 years, then another 3 years, then you keep on measuring everything. Now you are set. But if you don't even have a plan from the first year, you are dead meat. Dead. Because you need a strategy. You know, you don't just say we're going to go to war. The war we are having is going to be for 12 years. What is the strategy? What's the tactics? What are you going to do in the first year? What will you do in the second year? What will you do in the third year? What will you do in the fourth year? What will you do in the fifth year? You should have all the plans and all the outcomes, everything. And then you're done. Then you can now say we have started war. Don't start war. Don't announce that we have started war and you don't even have the war plan. You don't know what you're fighting. Yes, because 2030 people will cry that we can't save the planet. You see, then we have wasted time. So my advice to the climate scientists now, they should be so hardworking right now to find a formula to keep global warming down. Then release that formula this year. Give it 3 years. If it works, then you repeat it for the next 3 years. Then by 12 years, you can now say the temperature of the world has dropped to below 0 degrees Celsius. So what does that mean? You have a formula of regulating the temperature of the earth, so that even if we can develop industrially, we won't be scared because we have a formula. So that now when the earth goes by 1 degree Celsius up, apply the formula. And then you apply the formula, the earth goes back to 0. Then you continue developing the world. Then it goes back to 1. Then you go back. So we'll be doing that because you already have a formula. That's all. Weapons are formulas. Yes, the atomic bomb is a formula. Everything is a formula. Yeah, everything is a formula. Yes. So, do you know why the atomic bomb is a formula? It solves a problem. When somebody wants to destroy a very big place very fast, you release the atomic bomb. That's a formula. That's a strategy. That's a solution. Yes, you see, solution. The problem we have in the world, people moralize science, and that's not science. Science is not supposed to be moralized. Science is science. Yes, it's a fact. If you take a sword and fight somebody who is not armed, he will die. Especially if he's cornered, he will die. That's science. Don't look for the morality in it. Look at the science in the situation. If you put somebody in a gas chamber that has no oxygen, they will die. That one does not need to look at the morality. It is the science. You see, it's a science. You need to know, why do people run away from war? They know the science. They are not looking at the morality that, is it right for the country to be fighting? If it is right, they stay. No, they know the science. They know if we stay here, whether you're on the side of the government or not, you will die. That's the science human beings know. So you run away from war. So that's how we understand. Okay, we've discussed about climate change, and that is our solution to the climate change situation. And we are still watching on it, but we encourage the climate scientists to keep on working hard at saving the planet.